That was cool. I wonder how he did that. But yeah. Dark Angels, you're finally based. It only took until the end of 2023. Oh, I should add you to my collection. You know what's missing? Hellblasters. I still don't have any Hellblasters for my Dark Angels. I've had them since the 8th edition starter box. I now have all of my models based. Perhaps it's time in 2024 to get my Hellblasters on the table. Welcome back to the Blissful Badger. It's the start of 2024, and I have a mission to get all of my armies 1,000 points painted and based. And to start off the new year, I'm going to work on my Dark Angels. This was my first Imperium army, spanning back to 6th edition, Dark Vengeance. Woo. So I like to follow a painting process when it comes to my Dark Angels, with very few modifications as I go into the newer Primaris models. When I started painting my Dark Angels, I had just picked up the original Army Painter War Paints starter set, and I felt really good about starting an army with a new paint set. I had been painting my Tyranid army with Apple Barrel, but I knew I wanted this new army to be using the new paints. So I went about making a paint list that I could follow for all future models. To start out, I prime black, and then I follow it up with a 6-part green, 1-part black mixture for the armor. A step I added green trim around the shoulder pads, knee pads, and the front of the collar. I find it adds just a little bit of a pop to the models. And the skin tones start with barbarian flesh. Next, I clean up all of the black, so the ribbing and belts and boots. All of the leathers get a base coat of leather. The bare heads get a speed paint flesh tone applied. I follow this up with painting the metal. I make sure to get enough detail in different areas so it looks shiny without overdoing it, as I want my Dark Angels to stand out on the table compared to other people's armies. I use blue weapons casings instead of red. It's a small change, but it makes the army unique to me. The purity seals and plasma coils get painted in white, along with the eyes. I eventually go back and highlight up back with the barbarian flesh. The leather areas get a leather wash using Army Painter speed paints. The plasma coils get a contrast of malignant green. The purity seals get a soft tone wash. The eyes get red added to them. And the purity seals get painted also red. And then to tie everything together, I give the gun a wash in dark tone. This seeps into all of the crevices and gives a nice black lining without much work. At this point, the models are pretty much painted, and all I need to do is base them. For basing, I wanted to go with something fairly simple and repeatable. So I use Vallejo thick mud, let that dry, and use Wasteland Scrub tufts. For any of the models that need the extra touch-up, I use black paint around the rims. And then the models are done, and I can add them to the collection. This brings my armies of 1,000 points or more, battle ready, up to 2. Aside from the 1,000 points of orcs, this force is my only other battle-ready army. I have a few that are painted over 1,000 points, but they're still looking for basing. Well, that was a fun 2 days. This actually brings me to about 2,600 points of Dark Angels. And when I want to borrow the vehicles from the Blood Angels army, they're painted similar enough to be used. Which could mean I could actually bring this around 3,000 points if I needed to field everything. Looking good! Now to just get the other 16 armies to the same level. Subscribe if you haven't so that you don't miss any future videos. I also want to thank my patrons and supporters for making these videos possible. And until next time, I hope you find your bit of bliss.